a result of the delays, we'll be keeping track of those and noting them for consideration and the avenues that we've got in the contract for that.
Thank you very much. Councillor Young.
Thanks. Mr. Huggett, I was interested in the pictures of the machinery and the construction of the various elements, and this diagram, which is new in this form, but of course one of the local magazines has published, Focus magazine has published variants of that design over the years, with the suggestion that the design evolved over time, and because it was a novel form of construction. And looking back on it, one of the most significant council decisions was not only to build a new bridge, but the choice of design. As you'll recall, there was a public opinion process, and council chose, rather than the one that the public had selected, chose this iconic design without a central axis, and one that was on the leading edge of bridge design. And in defense of my colleagues, the information that the council was given, as I recall fairly clearly, was that all three of the designs would cost about the same. I believed that at the time that information came from MMM. I'm not sure about that, but just listening to your description of some of the challenges of this project and contrasting it with what I think were fairly simple, at least one was a fairly simple design with a central axis, a big axle, and the things being operated back and forth, and which I assume and I believe has been built elsewhere. That advice seems to me to have been probably deeply and profoundly wrong. Now, but I'm basing that on some of your descriptions of the building of the underwater chamber, and now this description of this machinery. Now, looking back on it, would you say that what proportion of the costs of this that we're on the challenges we're facing result from the design of the bridge, that is the need for the perfectly circular ring and so forth, as opposed to merely the fact that we're building a big new bridge to do this job?
That's for you, Mayor Helps, a tough question to answer, but let me give you my best shot at this. First of all, I mean, you're right, putting all these elements together for this particular project has probably never been done at that scale, though I'm assured it's been done at a smaller scale. But if you take individual components, I suppose you'd argue, well, there's nothing really new in there. You might be new that they've all been assembled at one time in this particular case, but the operation of hydraulic machinery in that way, fabrication of those wheels, making steel so that it is within tolerance. I mean, the tolerances, you're right, are very tight. Wouldn't be the first time we've had to make steel very tight. It requires great care and skill to do it properly. And so there's those aspects. I mean, I suppose, sure, it would have been a lot easier if we just had a central shaft running down the middle of the bridge. And then, you know, you don't need those tolerances. I couldn't possibly give you a figure that says, well, because, you know, I have to have this circular ring made to very tight tolerances, because as you can see, it's running now in a track. It would be different if there was a shaft in the middle of it and it didn't matter about the tolerances. What did that cost? I've no idea. If anything, I don't think anybody could actually give you that idea. I guess our view is a competent steel fabricator should be able to make to that tolerance, and it just requires care and attention. The machinery, I don't think there's anything magic about that. That company has made similar machinery in similar circumstances. But you're right, it's certainly different and it's iconic, and I don't know what that cost is.
Thank